Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we will discuss about how you can improve your cursor productivity at least 10 times. 3 months ago, Anthropic released the Model Context Protocol, or MCP, but only in the last few weeks it actually took off and it's going crazy on Twitter. MCP is a unified layer for LLMs to connect external data sources. Up to this point, we had APIs and we had the function calling with the classic OpenAI and the structured output. But one of the key problems with that solution is that each external service has its own API and every API has its own schema. If you want to actually cram like 10 or more tools inside an LLM, then the performance gets worse. Anthropic solution, the MCP, is basically a unified layer that stands between each API and the LLM calls. So the LLM actually only calls the MCP servers, and the MCP servers then use the external tools, so making it way more robust. And today we'll show you how you can actually use MCP servers inside Cursor so you can improve the productivity and do things that you wouldn't be able to do before. First of all, if you want to learn more about the Model Context Protocol, diving in the website is the best tutorial that I have ever found. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, I have watched a lot of tutorials, but their website is honestly the best. And if you're a developer, you can actually see the SDKs here, and they're adding support. And recently they added Java and Kotlin support, and I think they also have Rust in the works, so Rust should be able to work pretty soon. And okay, so today we're going to focus on two specific tools. The first one is GitHub, and it's an easier and less functional tool, so get a view of how this actually works. So what you want to do is you want to go to this, close this, to this website, smithery.ai, and actually, so smithery.ai, and this is like a directory of MCP servers, and there are some pretty famous ones, as you can see, 60k installs, and there are also like other ones. Note that you shouldn't by default trust this. You can trust the big ones like GitHub with 7,000 installs, the sequential thinking with 60,000, but for example, this one, the terminal with 0 use here, I wouldn't trust to run this on my computer. So you need to be a little bit cautious. And yeah, so if you go on GitHub, and what you want to do is select Cursor, and you have a command here, and it asks for a GitHub personal token. So what you want to do is you're going to have to create a GitHub account. I have an existing one, close this. And in your account, what you want to do is you want to go to the settings and developer settings at the bottom and personal access tokens, and you want to create fine-grained one. So I have an existing one, and basically you will create generate new tokens. You will give it a name, and by default, if you select the fine-grained tokens, they have every permissions for safety. So what you want to do is you will be here and you will give it repository access, and I have selected all repos, and we have some repo permissions. So we have the actions, the administrations, the attestations, and I had one more, and the content. And we have all these 5 at read and write. So as you can see, because these are the ones, because we'll be using this integration to actually create repos from Cursor and update and upload files as well. So we have all these. Let's update it, and here you will be able to see your token. So I think, yeah, so here you will be able to see the token. I can't view it. Like when you see it, make note to copy and save it, because you won't be able to see it again, and you need to create another one. So when you have that token, you want to paste it here, and obviously this is not the correct one, and you want to click create command. So you have this command, and you will click copy. You will open Cursor, and here we have, let me close this and this for now. So here we have a simple Next.js project, and what we want to do, you go into the Cursor and you open settings and you go to the MCP, and actually let me turn delete these two. So let me delete the firecracker as well. We want to see the firecracker today. So if you don't have anything, you will see it like this, and you will click create new one, and you want to click GitHub, command, paste, and add, and give it a second. Yeah, okay, I made a mistake. I shouldn't delete GitHub. I'm going to pause the video to create a new key and come back to this point. So I created the new token, and basically, because the command was wrong, you will paste the command you copied from the Smithery website, click save, and give it a second, and we're waiting for the light to turn blue. As you can see, it's correct, and this will work. So let's end. Before we jump to the agent, another hint that you can actually speed up a lot of things is if you go to the features and you want to enable YOLO mode. So YOLO mode is every time the agent wants to take an action, when it wants to use a tool like terminal commands or search or the MCP servers, it will ask your permissions by default. It won't execute themselves. But with YOLO mode, the model executes this all by itself without asking permissions. And having this on speeds up a lot of things. If you are hesitant to do that, you can enable the delete file protection so it doesn't delete files. And also you can actually give it a prompt. So in my prompt, it's very simple one, do not run dangerous commands. So you can actually include like examples. So like do not execute kill commands, do not execute wget commands, and all these Linux. I have this do not the dangers, and it kind of understand at this point many times. And I think this is an overcorrection. So having a list of specific commands that you don't want to run might actually be better. So having this on, we will turn on, and you want to have agent, and you want to actually have the cloud models. GPT models do not work with this one. So you want the 3.7 Sonnet, and we'll use the non-thinking because it's faster. So what can we do? So for example, let's say create a new repo called MCP. Let me spell that. So we see that it's called the MCP tool, and we have, so it's public, okay, it executed correctly. So if you go back to check our profile, we can actually see that it created just now. And if we open, it's empty, doesn't have anything, it has these basic commands. So let's readme file with short description. So in this case, it will actually create the file and upload it as well. And we can see, okay, the first one got an error. Yeah, so as you can see, the first MCP call was get file contents. So it kind of like lists all the files, and it got an error because the repo is empty. And then it corrected itself by creating or updating a new file. So we see the content and the type, and it's successful. So let's go and check. If we refresh, we see the readme file. Yeah, so as you can see, so basically when you're working on a project, you can actually create new commits just by asking cursor instead of having this git add dot git commit git push and setting messages and all that stuff, which is pretty annoying basically when you do it all the time. So this is a GitHub, and this is roughly how the MCP works. As you can see, it gives Cloud the power to use external tools that it hadn't before. And now let's go to the actually good one. So the second tool it's about browser automation. So when you are writing code with Cursor and all of the other code generation tools, nowadays the model has gone pretty good. So when you start, basically when I start a new project, and typically a web project, we have a project description. So the Cursor agent starts writing code, and it might take like 5 minutes or even more to run all of the commands and generate all of the code. And basically you end up with a project having like 20, 30, 50 files maybe, and like having 50 files of code. There's a high chance that at first something will not run. When there's an error, at that point, basically you kind of like have no idea what the error is, because it's like 50 files and you have to start looking at each file and what's going on to the code base basically. So it's what we say, like vibe coding with Cursor is great and easy, but vibe debugging it's hard, and honestly, it sucks. So the browser, this tool, this MCP server, the browser tools actually makes the debugging way easier. So let's see. First thing, you will have to install it in a different website. So you'll go to this link, to this URL. It will be in the link in the description. And basically you want to follow the instructions. And the instructions are pretty simple. So you only need to run a git clone command. This downloads the file, the folder with the code in your computer. I have this already. And this is the first step. Now you need to, the code that we downloaded actually has the Chrome extension. And in order to load a Chrome extensions from a source that is not the web store, you want to go to the settings. I think it's, yeah, so by default, you will see this. And when you go to the Chrome extensions, you want to enable developer mode. And when you enable developer mode, you see these three buttons. So you want to load unpacked. So this is basically, it says that load from your computer. And you will go to the browser tools MCP, download it, Chrome extensions, and you're going to click select. And you can see extension loaded. And if we go to our extensions, we can actually see it right here. And it works. So we have the extensions on. And the third, and now we actually have to input the tool in our browser. And we'll give it a name. We'll give it the, so as previously, we will need, where it is, let me go here. We'll need the name, and we'll name it browser tools. So you need to be careful. MCP servers will need different names between them. We'll leave it at command, and we need the actual command. So we're going to copy the command here, and we're going to input it and add server. Give it a minute, and you can see it's green, and it's actually working. So now what we want to do, and this is the installation. So we have the system installed, and when you use it, we need to do one more thing. We need to run the MCP server, which runs locally basically. And I'm running it currently here. Close this. It doesn't close. Okay. It's persistent for some reason. Anyhow, what you want to do is you will paste the command here and you will run it. And yeah, so now the extension is actually listening. And actually now I have to, but never mind. And as you may see in the browser, close this. We have this next tab. It's not running. Okay, let me run this pretty quickly. Okay, it doesn't load. Why? Yeah, so running this demo app. And if we go inspect, and you can see that browser tools started debugging. So this shows that it's on. And here we can actually see browser tools. And we can wipe all the logs. The logs are these from the console, basically the print in the browser. And we can also take screenshots. This helps it to kind of, the model to actually have input screenshots when it needs to. And it has some advanced settings, but you don't need to get into this. Yeah, so what can this actually do? Typically, when you're having errors in the browser, you will see logs here. And in this case, because like we don't have any error, and I mean, we don't, how can we in this app? We'll do something different. We'll give it the option to actually edit. So, side note, if you know Cursor, you probably know Lovable.dev as well. It's a newer tool. It's more beginner friendly, and it's not tailored to developers basically. So you start the project on Lovable, and then you move it on GitHub and on an IDE later. So they recently, and let's actually go, let's check this here. They recently launched a new feature that is, I have a demo project somewhere, that is visual edits. So what it can do, where is it? Let's open this one. It's visual edits. So we can actually select something from the screen. So I don't know, let's reload it. So let's select this one. We select the item and we give it a prompt on what to do. So let's say translate this into Spanish. I don't know Spanish, but whatever. And basically this tool kind of works only on this item without modifying any of the other code. And I'm guessing this is correct. I don't know Spanish, but I trust it. So, and how does this actually work? And basically how this works is a very similar way to these browser tools that we're actually going to do on Cursor. So let's close this And we have, so let's go to our browser and we have the debugger on. So let's select something. So let's select this. So let's select this div up here, and it's selected. And let's open a new project. So we're going to give it the context of our code, and we're going to say check the selected element and make its background dark gray. Let's see if it works. So you can see get select elements. It actually worked. It's a div and it has the details, which is like the HTML file itself. And it took a screenshot. I don't know why it took a screenshot actually, since it got the code. But anyway, then it read the code and it identified what it needs to be done. So let's hit accept. And as you can see, it correctly selected all of this. So I didn't know it was entire page, but let me reverse this. And now let's do a different edit on this time. Let's do a similar one. This NSVG. So we're gonna select this and we're gonna say selected element and translate it into Greek. So this time I'll know if it's correct or not. And I'm not sure it has a folder path, so I'm not sure if it's going to translate that one, but we're going to see. So get selected date element correctly, list the code base to actually read our code, screenshot again for some reason. I think this does by default. And yeah, and this is correct. It says start editing, and it didn't actually change the code file. Yeah, so I see it's still going, and actually it changed this one in the bottom. And this also brings us to another note. The new models, the new Claude 3.7 models, both the reasoning and non-reasoning, actually over-deliver. So when you give them an instruction, they do something, like they implement what you ask them. So for example, in this case, we only selected the first item and we said translate it, and it did. But then they don't stop there. They kind of think like what should be done next, and they keep doing it. So if you don't want to see unwanted change, so let me go back. This is the beginning. And if you don't want to do unwanted, you kind of need to say, so we're going to need to select this again. So I'm going to check selected element, translate to Greek, do nothing else. So let's see if this time tries to build the entire app. So get the element, translate the text correctly. It's frozen. Something is not correct, I think. Okay, let's try it again. And we have this select still. Okay. Oh, yeah. Actually, I think we checked select element, translate in Greek, and actually modify it in the page. And we actually need to say like not only translate the text, but write it in the code as well. That's why it stopped in the text translation. Yeah, so now it works. So it was a prompting issue. And in this case, it's modifying the code, did it correctly again, and perfect. So this time, it didn't actually modify the second line, and it stopped in the problem, in thing. So, and also let's try a different one. So we have these logs, and we want to say read the browser logs and explain them to me. So this is the fastest refresh. When we edit files in Next, it kind of refreshes immediately and we see the change. And these typical warnings. And I think this error is this comes from some extensions, so it's not related to the page. So now it would actually read the logs. And in many cases, when something is not working in the browser or you have bugs, there will be errors. And what we actually do, if there are no errors in the code, and a debugging method is to actually add console logs everywhere. So you can actually see everything that gets printed. So in this case, you can actually say like instruct the model to console everywhere. And if something is wrong, you can say like read the logs. So the model can actually improve it better. So let's see what it actually took. So we have get console. And as you can see, we have, let's open this. We have different tool for console logs and different tool for console errors. This is typical network errors and network success. And yeah, so we see a warning about the image, which is correct. These two, the fast refresh activity, the React devs, and the error. This is likely related to browser storage, access restrictions. Yeah, and I think this is because we are localhost. We do not have secure network. And yeah, so as you can see, this is a powerhouse and it actually can improve your development speed by a lot, reducing debugging errors and actually being able to what we call vibe code, a much more complex application than ever before. This was today's tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you want to see some specific tutorial, leave it also in the comment and I'll try to make a video about it. Now, if you're watching this video and you are an established business owner or you're a startup looking to consult with me on building your next AI project, there is a link in the video description where you can book a one-on-one call with me. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.